Hi everyone, welcome to another episode wherein we will interview a Google developer advocate and they will let us know more about AI. They'll give some insights about AI which can really help in our career. So, hello Alvin, welcome to Guys in the Cloud. This is our YouTube channel and I'm happy to say that this is the first podcast that we are doing for our channel. So, you're kind of the star of the channel who's going to be introduced in the first podcast ever for our channel.
Okay.
So, welcome to our channel.
Thank you very much.
So, a little introduction on Alvin. He's a developer advocate at Google. And a little insight, he does like playing games. So, starting with the games, what kind of games do we play?
Okay, yeah. So I like RPG games, and the one who let me do some exploration, like maybe Witcher 3 or Elder Scrolls Skyrim. It's very good game, and I really enjoy it very much. And it's kind of aligned with me on where I can explore technology. I can also like to do that on games too.
Okay. Coming about technology, let's talk about the hot topic of the market, which is AI.
Yeah.
So, what is your thought on AI, which is like an emerging trend, and everyone is just like AI, but nobody actually talks about how do you actually start with it? Like, how do you go with either do you start with definitions or do you directly jump onto the model learning? Like, how does a beginner ever start with AI?
Okay, so yeah, this is an interesting topic for me, right? Because personally, I'm kind of started in AI-related roles as a researcher. So maybe it's about 7 years ago. We don't see this kind of generative AI we see currently. We now can talk to Gemini fluently, right, in our own language. But in the past, we only see AI as a mathematical model. We develop with TensorFlow, we develop with Keras, doing all those kind of things manually. And this is my starting point at that time.
Okay.
But I believe it's the same as every other technology. We also kind of perceive making blog in the past, it's very, very hard, right? Because when blog first came out as a web technology, there aren't many tools on how to create a blog easily. But right now for AI, it's already there, and we can find many open source product on how to start. Maybe we want to learn AI agent. Maybe we want to learn creating a product by calling an API of generative AI. We can do all of these things easily right now. And when someone want to start doing this kind of things, try to understand generative AI more, I believe it depends on their kind of situation and their own background. Maybe if you are a kind of person who start off academics, trying to understand the underlying methodology on how generative AI works might be a good starting point. Right?
Correct.
When you know things work, you can easily grasp on what it can do. You can set expectation. So you can try different courses like from Hugging Face. It's a very popular frameworks to try generative AI from scratch, right? So I think this might be a good idea to get a grasp what generative AI can do from a very low level. But if you have a higher level background, like for maybe I talk about developers, right? Maybe you are a front-end developer, or maybe you are a back-end developer. You can try with the API itself. Like Gemini have some free tier. You can get the API keys and try to invoke some API calls and things like that. Try to experiment how Gemini works, how we can understand that Gemini can support many types of data. And this is also a good starting point if you are developers type of person. And maybe if you are not a developers type, you can try start it with the AI Studio, trying to chat with Gemini, explore different prompting, and then try Imagen or View maybe to explore how text can be converted to video, just to start getting creative on how we can utilize it.
Okay.
So yeah, I think this is a good starting point for a different person.
Okay. Another follow-up question on this is a student who was maybe just started their engineering or maybe some grad college. So when you have your studies with you and then but you also want to upskill yourself. So what can be that one thing they can start with as a student? So any skill around AI which they can, maybe have it around with their curriculum going on, hence not burdening them but also upskilling them at the same time.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar with previously. If the students, yeah, I assume this is for the maybe computer engineering student or computer science students, right? Try to understand how this AI model works, maybe via API call or maybe try to prompting in AI Studio or via Gemini. The most important thing is we know our expectation toward these models. What can works, what doesn't work.
Okay.
And after getting some understanding about how we interact with this kind of models, the next step we can explore is how to prompt effectively. So we can, maybe you've heard about the term prompt engineering.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely what we can, how we can improve ourselves into a person that can utilize generative AI efficiently. So
Okay.
it maybe it's kind of similar when generative AI is not around.
Yeah.
We I myself positioning as a student, I need to know how to Google search effectively, right?
Correct.
Because many tasks require us to
Yeah.
understand a problem by ourselves. It is the same with the generative AI as well. Try to understand how to do prompting effectively, how to do prompt engineering, so that we can ensure that generative AI can get the answer that we want by minimizing the risk of hallucinating, giving false information, and things like that. So this is one, the prompt engineering. And then the other one is we need to be able to validate what the AI generates. So as a student, I believe that being able to verify and validate the generative AI output is a very important skills and very important capabilities, right? Because I see that many person just rely on the Gemini output or generative AI output and didn't verify it. You might be using it for vibe coding. You might be use it for finding out another information.
Yes.
But this completely led to incorrect information, or maybe you create some apps, it works, but you cannot be or you can't debug it or doesn't really understand what works.
Yeah.
This is the output that we don't want to.
Yeah.
So that's why being able to verify this is also an important skill.
So basically understanding the gist of the code is something that you need to be really aware of.
And then after that, we can go to talk about agentic framework and things like that.
Okay. Talking about prompt engineering, is there any one secret hack that you want to share? Maybe that's your kind of thing wherein you put your prompt engineering in such a way that gives you the result that you desire. Because at times we just type anything and maybe the answers don't match our requirement. So what is your one hack to achieve the output that you desire?
Okay. So this is a very wide topic, say, about prompt engineering, because any other person experiment with different models.
Correct.
Right? But we have some prompting guidelines. So one of the example is, this is the same pattern when you do agentic framework. It is a clear distinction of what you want the generative AI act as, or we call it a description, a persona. You want the generative AI to act as an experienced software developer, or maybe you want it to act as an experienced product manager, maybe. So define the persona of the AI model is important. So this is one of the part that might need to be explicit. And then the second one is the instructions we give to them.
Okay.
So we need to have a clear, concise expectation on what they should do, right? Maybe if you want the generative AI generate some code, you clearly expressed in what language you want them to be generated, in what style it won't be generated. So it must be explicit, try to remove some bias from the instruction itself, and that should be good. And apart from that, it's kind of a limitation. You don't want the model to do certain kind of things, or you want to do specialized formatting. Like generative AI can talk both ways, right? It can talk to us with the natural language, and it also can talk to computer with the
Correct.
specific format.
Okay.
So this formatting is also the one factor that kind of restrict the response is generated so that it can be more deterministic.
Okay, so basically mentioning the persona that we're talking about, telling them what are the do's and what are the don'ts, like a very brief description, a very brief prompt is what I would say.
Yeah, the instructions, and the last is formatting. Formatting is very, very important.
Understood. So coming back to having more insights about you, so you are also very familiar with what kind of clients that you deal in Indonesia. So what are that common use cases that you deal with AI that is something that you comes to you on daily basis when you're dealing in an Indonesian market? So if you could give some idea about that.
Okay. Yeah, so technically, when I do some engagement in Indonesia community, there are, maybe I can categorize it in two persona, right? The developers who actively engage in corporate activities and their corporate really support the generative AI exploration. And there is community developers which try to upskill themselves and try to understand to how to utilize AI more.
Okay.
So from the perspective of developers who knows many use cases of generative AI in the corporate environment, and then they know how siloed every department on a very big corporation, they tend to want to explore more about advanced RAG technique. So RAG is a retrieval augmented generation technique, which currently also a hot topic in the generative AI application and agentic framework. So this RAG technique is how they can embed their internal knowledge, internal documents from different departments, so that they can have a single source of truth of a virtual agent to on how to get a correct information without any bottleneck in human manual conversation, right?
Correct.
Because everyone is busy.
Yeah.
Yes, so this is one of prominent thing. And to tackle this, they explore on how we can effectively choose the correct method on how we index our knowledge, on how we design an internal scope virtual agent to help with this kind of things, and how we can do this securely. So this is one of the use case when it's talking about internal condition, right? And when they want to explore external interaction from maybe their users or maybe their customers, they try to understand more how they can process unstructured data and incorporate it into conventional data processing pipeline.
Okay.
So they usually already involved in using some kind of database, maybe PostgreSQL or maybe a BigQuery. But in recent condition, they also have a huge amount of unstructured data, right? Maybe
Correct.
files.
Yeah.
And that files cannot be easily converted to text, maybe like images and things like that.
Yeah.
So they try to explore how we can embed this kind of multimodal data to their AI pipelines. So,
Okay.
maybe those two is prominent for use cases. And from the community developers perspective, they try to have more interest into the automated assist coding. So products like Firebase Studio and then the Gemini CLI is a very attractive things to them because they are looking on how to increase productivity, not only for developers perspective, but it also can support like product managers or QA tester too, because they can, like for example Gemini CLI, I have this kind of document maybe in Markdown or using another platform to store the documents and export it as Markdown or as PDF and provide it to the Gemini so that Gemini can read it and produce some documentation, some architecture document on how to do that, and it's really attractive to them to explore this.
Okay, understood. Coming up with our next question that we have, just like in the market, Kubernetes was just introduced as a demo product or a trial product. And slowly how it transformed into something that now every application or every client that we look for, they are looking for that containerization, for that GKE, just GKing thing. So how do you think, like according to the knowledge or the insight that you have today, how will be the future of AI and the ADK agents that have been released right now in the market? How do you think, how well can they be adaptable, or what is the exact future? Like how adaptable can people be to it?
Okay. So, in my opinion and my perspective, Google understands that open source is one factor that contribute the most to the advancement of technology. Like before all of this generative AI agent, we also already have a TensorFlow, which is also propel this advancement of deep learning. And now we also want to contribute more because we see that agent area is a very interesting thing to be involved to. That's why we put all of this effort to contribute to the community by open sourcing ADK, open sourcing Gemini CLI, and even we we identify the gap where this kind of agent need to communicate each other via A2A protocol, and it also open source, right? But we take things further. Like for example, the A2A protocol, this goals is how we can connect agent. Doesn't really care where they are deployed, how they are developed, but they need to communicate each other, right? And we want everyone else chime in this. That's why the A2A protocol is donated to the Linux Foundation. And this is our expectation so that everyone can contribute in it and improve it so that it becomes widely usage by any other person. And so far, I think, if I'm not mistaken, many large corporations also already invested in it. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. And the same thing is expected from ADK Gemini CLI because we understand that community contributions is what is the best place to give proper input and proper feedback. They will try to find anything, find different use cases, find any bugs if it exists, right? And this is a very good space for input to propel a good framework, agentic framework, so that everyone think, oh yeah, when I want to do coding, I will use Gemini CLI. And when I want to build my own agent, I will use ADK. So this is the goal.
Okay. So thank you so much, Alvin. That was a really good time with you. Thank you so much for all your insights.
Yeah.
So as a token of appreciation, we do have a gift for you from our channel, Guys in the Cloud.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's it, guys. See you in another episode.